good to have you on board. So Gitte and I are going to introduce ourselves, and then we're going to go through a quick presentation for those of you who are interested in finding out a little bit about the RDI Futures program. This little webinar is specifically for those of you who are thinking about whether you want to participate or not and want to know a bit more about what it is and what the process looks like and what you get out of it. So my name is Sonny Neale. I'm a trained futurist. I did my master's degree at the University of Swinburne. I've spent the last 25 years working in futures in the resource management sector and the environment sector. And I've worked with companies across the Asia Pacific on futures foresight and how to think proactively and creatively about the future.
Thank you, Sonny. My name is Gitte Heij, and I'm a lawyer by background, and I'm a futurist. I'm trained at the University of Houston. And I worked in the development aid sector for close to 30 years. And it's absolute delight to be part of this workshop series.
Great. So thanks for coming on. We're going to try to keep this to 10 minutes, but we do want to go through the actual content so you get a sense of what it is. And then at the end, we've got a couple of questions from the seminar that we led with the RDI network and what the participants wanted to know. So these might be questions that are, of interest to you too, and there might be what's bumping around in your head that you want answered. So hopefully we get to cover everything. Gitte, can I hand over to you?
Yeah, we're going to share the screen and we're going to quickly go through the program. So this is the overview we have put together. And we use a software product called Padlet. And I am allergic to new software and I'm not tech savvy whatsoever. And I've managed this for the last year as a result of doing everything online. We will have an introduction for those of you who think, oh dear, now I need to use new software. And that's the last thing I want. It's very, very easy to use. And I'm the living example of that. I've mastered this, and it was designed and created and advised by an online educator who works in this space with people who have the same aversion regarding technology that I have. So it's a 3-day program, and we have around 4 hours of material that you can study at your own pace. And that include podcasts, that includes readings, that includes videos, because people learn in different ways. And over the afternoon sessions, that's the live session where we get together in the group and we have a lot of discussion. And that's where the real value is. We use a lot of breakout rooms because from experience, that's where people see the best dialogues taking place. And that's the place where they learn the most. And in futures thinking and foresight, what we do is we first start with framing what we want to explore. And we look at timelines. And for everyone, that's different. And we need to make sure we're all in agreement. We do not look so much at the future of next week. We generally look 5, 10, 20 years ahead. And on day one, we frame that, and then we are looking at scanning. And the way this program is designed is that we follow this model. This is a very simple model. It's definitely a model that has shortcomings, and we're very aware of it, but it works well in an online setting, and you can build on it. So you can use different methods within it if you want to take this further. So we start with framing, we move to scanning, and then we move to forecasting. And forecasting, there are different names for that. It can be scenario thinking, it can creating alternative futures, plausible futures, possible futures, preferable futures. They all pass through this process.
Preposterous futures.
Yeah, outrageous futures, dystopian futures. There is a wide range out there. And you can think small, you can think big. And it doesn't mean that you end up with something that's totally off the planet and you will never realize. And what's the point of it? it's in your hands how realistic you want to make it. And then it becomes visionary. It needs to translate into vision. And a vision is actually a connection of your head and your heart. Because if you vision something with your head, but your heart is somewhere else, you will never make it to planning or acting on it. And that's where a lot of visions fall down. So we take you over the 3 days through that process. And the first day is framing and scanning. And the second day, I hand now over to Sonny.
So that's forecasting and visioning. So it's where you take the work that you've done in the first day in terms of giving yourself a scope to work with, and then start extrapolating it out into the future. And that's where you really start exploring new visions and new ways that what you're committed to could be implemented. So it's important to note here that the people that were in the seminar really wanted to discuss what kind of scope they'd bring to the conversation. And you know, some people in the group were wondering whether it should be, you know, just for their organization or for the sector or even for their own life. So the answer is whatever you bring, you can use the tools and the process to help you to design go through this process to frame it, scan it, vision it, and then make a plan, a concrete plan for how you're going to implement it at any of those levels, both your personal, professional life, for your organization, or also for the entire sector. And one of the things that I love working with Gitte with particularly is because, you know, she brings a real rigor and practicality to this kind of a conversation. So you'll end up with a plan that allows you to concretely think about how you're going to implement something that's very, very important to you, but may not be something that you entered the process thinking you'd ever get interested in or not. All kinds of possibilities open up. So that's day 2. You move from framing and scanning and into thinking about the future and actually concretely visioning what that future might be. And then we get into the really juicy part, which is day 3.
And day 3 is all about planning and acting. And both Sonny and I are futurists who walk our talk. In other words, we are of the school that you need to not only come up with wonderful ideas and translate them into a vision, but actually do it. And when you do it, you have successes and failures, and we will share them with you. And we are both involved and have been involved in the past in projects whereby it really personally impacted us if it will be a success or not. And we have had skin in
personally and professionally.
We've had skin in the game in foresight and future thinking. And that is very important because it's so easy as an advisor or a trainer to say, yeah, you could do this or you could do that. But they do not understand the fear or the risks you may take if you take this back to your organization and come up with a very bold plan to move maybe in a very different direction, either in your organization or in your own personal life. So day 3 is very important to us. And at the end of day 3, we want you to have a plan. And we do offer for participants who want to take it even further to write out a personal plan, mapping out their future over a particular timeline. And Sonny and I will be available after the workshop series to actually assist you with that and help you write that plan if that's what you would like to do.
So just quickly on that, why you'd be interested in that. I mean, Gitte is the chair of an international development organization. You know, she's got, I don't know, I mean, dare I say, decades of experience in implementing foresight programs and implementing, you know, cross-sectoral programs. And I do in my realm as well. I help set up the Green Building Council of Australia and the Forest Stewardship Council of Australia, and I've worked with all levels of government. So when it and Fortune 500 companies. So when it comes down to actually seeing this stuff done, you know, Gitte and I have all the scars necessary to speak authentically about how to do it, and you know, we can share our failures till we're blue in the face, and some really, really wonderful successes as well. So this whole program is really designed to be practical and effective and give you a plan for how you're going to implement something that's deeply important to you, in your life and your organization. And that's what we're hoping to create for you over the 3 days. And I think about 6 weeks the program takes from beginning to end.
And one of the questions we had from the discussion with participants earlier in the week was, how do we get the material? The material will all be provided to you, and all you have to do is click on the different plates in the program we offer. You click on a link, and then you just go through a program. And there are no other resources required. All resources are provided in the program and available to you 2 weeks prior to the first workshop.
Yeah, you just start from the left-hand side and you work through to the right-hand side. It's quite straightforward. And that content that we provide will be provocative, interesting, challenging. We're curating some stuff that you may not normally get across your desk, but will be very relevant to the work that you do and have you think differently about, your own job, your life, how you do things. Some of it you'll agree with, some of it you'll hate, but it's all going to feed into this journey of expanding our minds about what we can actually accomplish realistically. So, Gitte, I've got some other questions from the session that we were at before. So I might just go through some of those questions and we can answer them again for any of the people that are listening here today. And at the end, we'll give you the email address for the Ilona, who's managing this process for the RDI network. And if you've got any other further questions, you can follow up directly with her and she can answer them herself, or she can forward them through to us and we can answer them for you. So I'm just going to go through the list. First question was, how much of the program is about collaboration and how much is it about your own work? I'll grab this one. I mean, really, you do this journey yourself through the program with us, but what's really powerful about it is that you do it with a cohort of people who are passionate about the same things as you are, but come from very different perspectives. So what we really want to see, and what we often expect to see, is that small groups of people who have common interests start to coalesce, and over the process of the 6 or 8 weeks, start to work on things that they're passionate about collaboratively. Because at the end of the day, none of us are going to get what we're committed to done alone. It's going to be a collaborative journey, but if you don't get present to your own truth, your own source, your own commitment, then you can't really work collaboratively with people. You're just waiting for someone else to come up with a great idea and drive it. So you've got to get your own power, and then it is obviously a collaborative journey. Anything you want to add to that, Gitte?
No, it's so true that it is about challenging yourself, because we all have fear about the future, and that is very real and that's very human, and we all have it. And we deal with that in the workshop. And then once we can acknowledge that, name that, and put that aside, the discussions in the group flow a lot better. And the real benefit is in the group discussion. And ideally, is it with people who work in different parts of development aid, and that you may be surprised by some of the things that others are doing, or people outside the sector are doing, that you go, wow, actually they have the same problem as we do, or I hadn't thought of that, or this may be something for the future. We use in the workshop also examples of aid organizations who've gone through this process and have come out with very new ways of thinking about what they do in their organizations.
Excellent. So the second question is, will there be tools that we'll be able to use to put things into practice? The short answer is yes. We will use certain foresight processes that some of which we'll have worked on ourselves, and some of which are well known by the futurist canon. So you will definitely come out with tools, especially mental tools, obviously, about the way you think about things and the way you communicate things that you can take into your work and your professional life. You'll never really talk about the future or your work really in the same way again from having done this. That said, those processes, I mean, we would not recommend you go leap out and necessarily try to just implement the same tools that we went through on the journey with you, but we are available to have a chat with about them. And there are some you can probably do, on your own with a bit of support, and some you really need someone who's a bit more trained in it. So, the answer is yes, and.
That's right. Another question that came up was, If I don't have the time to prepare for this and do the 4 hours or even more, because we also have recommended readings and listenings for those who want to dive in even deeper. If I don't have the time for these preparations, can I still participate? And what will that look like? And the answer is yes, you can. We will make it clear what is essential in the preparation and what is recommended. And if you come to the workshop with less preparation, you can still participate. You may not get the benefit that those who have fully prepared may get from it, but you still will get a lot out of it. We appreciate people always have time pressures and you have your normal work on top of a course like this.
Yeah, so it's designed that you can make it work for your own time schedule, and there are those things that we will scale the recommendations for the readings. There are those things we say you really should find the time to read, which you can read over breakfast or listen to in the car. There are those things that you will explore that you go, this is really what I want. And then there's a whole cohort of information that will be available for you to peruse through, just to pick out the bits that are particularly relevant to you and may not be for everybody. So there's a lot to choose from, and it's very flexible. And make an effort to find those bits of information that are most relevant to what you're committed to, and stretch yourself a bit. Look into areas where you may not normally go. That's it. That was all the questions, Gitte, that we had, I think.
Okay, Ilona is available on behalf of the RDI network to take any questions or inquiries, and she will share them with us, and her email address will appear on the screen after this recording.
Along with the dates of the upcoming sessions.
That's true. Thank you.
Thanks. See you there.
See you. Thank you.